I never made drinking a big deal, just because like I'd grown up around it. Like that was kind of a Hispanic thing. Like at dinner, you would have sangria, which is like a table wine. So it was never like a huge thing to me. But by the time I was in 8th grade, I'd already been drunk. In high school, like I never went crazy, but like I would go to parties, just because I couldn't like give up my academics for that. Like it would interfere, and I was kind of strong, like willed in the fact that I wanted to do good in like to go to a good college because of my brother. Also, like after my brother got caught, he kind of turned into an alcoholic, so it kind of made me like realize that when you abuse one substance, you just go from one substance to the next. It's kind of a never-ending cycle. Well, all through high school, like I drink on the side, I pitch in for bottles with my friends, like I would help them find places to buy them, like we'd buy them through my brother, like we would do all that kind of stuff. And came to last year, and halfway through the year, halfway through second semester, it was spring break, and we were leaving that Friday, and one of my best friends since 6th grade came up to me, and like I hadn't really talked to her since because I kind of separated from her because we had two best friends that were best friends with us our freshman year, and I didn't agree with how they were treating people. I'm very like don't be dominant kind of person, like I'm very relaxed, and one of them was like very suffocating. And my best friend Sierra came up to me at lunch, and she was like, "You're right. Like you're right about everything, Alexis." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "You're right. Like so and so was just so controlling, and then so and so didn't have my best interest at heart, and they just gave me drugs, so I just keep on like doing drugs with them, and like they didn't really love me like they said they did, and they've just made me this horrible person." She's like, "I want to hang out with you over spring break." And I was like, "Okay, we'll hang out." So come the last Friday of spring break, and I was supposed to go out with them, but I was mad at my best friend Tammy. And so I didn't go out with them. Well, I get a call at 8 o'clock the next morning, and it's from my best friend 80, and then my best friend Smiley's on the other line bawling, and I find out that Sierra died in a car accident. She was drinking and driving, and she was going 100, I think, on Wurzbach, and she crashed into a tree. And to watch her family and like my friends like never be the same again, like know them before and after, it's crazy. I completely shut down. I couldn't let people see me emotional, so I didn't share that side with anybody. I was very closed off. I wouldn't talk to like my friends. I hadn't talked to my friends in like 2 months. It was bad, but like I would be there for them when they would break down. I helped so many of my friends while they cried, and that was definitely like an interesting like experience. My friends are still in therapy for it. I know people that are still greatly affected, and the one thing that hurts me the most is Sierra's parents came up to me one day and told me like the one thing that hurts us the most is not that we don't have our daughter anymore, it's that Bobby and Shelby, her little siblings, don't have somebody to look up to anymore. And it's never going to heal. It's never going to heal. And after that point, at that point when Sierra died, I went into a very dark place. I didn't believe in God anymore. I was mad at God for doing that, because at that same time, I broke up with my boyfriend of 2 years because he couldn't handle me. I lost Sierra. I wasn't talking to any of my best friends. And on top of that, this sounds really nerdy, but I just lost the class president election, so I was really upset about that. And so I just shut down. I was in autopilot, and all through high school, I was going to Young Life, and I was going to club, and I was coming to church, and it was just like doing the right thing. And then at that point, it was just like, okay, well, I already know what the church answer is, so I'm just going to go through the motions. And I told everyone that I was fine, and I really wasn't. I had already signed up for FCA camp at that point, and so I went to FCA camp, and I went in as the most pessimistic person ever. I didn't believe in God. I wanted to find everything wrong with him. I didn't want to see him succeed. And I literally walk in, and it was really funny. I literally walk in, and I meet my leader. But the first impression I had of her is, I hate you. Like, you're sitting here, standing in front of everybody, dancing, like just this pretty blonde girl, just being so bubbly. And I was like, all you want is attention. Like, I was just the biggest pessimist ever, and I was so judgmental. I felt like I had that right, and I didn't. And it turns out of like 800 people in a group of 20, she was my leader. She was amazing. On the second night, she told me her testimony, and she had been abused physically and mentally. She had gotten a life-ending injury, and so after being at FCA camp, it was like literally like I was trying to find so many things wrong. I was trying to find like this wrong and that wrong and that wrong, and I just saw God manifested in so many different places. She really comforted me, but the one thing that I was coping with there is like I didn't have feelings anymore. I didn't really know how to feel because I was so emotionally drained that I just didn't know what to do. And I have my journal from FCA camp, and I said, like, I don't feel like I don't feel like I've committed my life to Christ. I feel hurt instead. I don't understand it. It's something that was supposed to give me so much life, and it didn't. Why? All I want to do is live in your name, Jesus. You came and died for my sins, and I know I'm your servant, but I don't feel it. You made me to not trust and to do things myself. You made me that way, and I can't even trust who you made me. And I was just so confused. I went up on stage, and I was like, after I had decided to commit my life to Christ, and all I could do is cry. And there was like people around me being like, I just want to go run a marathon. And I was like, I just want to go crawl up in a ball and like cry. And it was because I was so hurt on the fact that Sierra didn't get that chance. And so I was just really bitter. Oh, I'm sorry. And I was just so bitter about that fact. And so God really humbled me, and he was like, I had a plan for her. Like literally the Friday, like that was part of his plan. It was kind of like making amends in her life before she died. It's amazing. Like she told her parents she wanted to be cremated because she went to church 3 weeks before she died, and it was a church service about cremation after you dying, and she told her parents that she wanted to be cremated. She woke up her parents every Sunday for a month before she died and said she wanted to go to church again. So literally, like, when I was explained those things, I felt so much better. After FCA camp, like I look back in my journal, and literally like the first 2 pages, like the first 2 days are completely empty. I didn't want to listen to anybody, but I go back and look at what I wrote in my journal, and it was like, replace your yielding with your yearning. God will work through your brokenness, and you have to walk by faith, not by sight. Once I finally felt him, it was literally like an overwhelming feeling. Like nothing can compare to like how I felt at that moment. And now when I feel him, it's like the greatest love I've ever felt. Like nothing can compare to it. He literally healed every addiction I once had, every yearning I once had. I didn't want to go back to my old self. Like I just wanted to be this new person. I was saying that we cover up what God has made us to be, yet God has made us beautiful, and yet we're ashamed of what he wants us to be. There are many words, and sin is unavoidable, but the one who controls his lips is wise. That's Proverbs 10:19. And like after I thought about that, I was just like, I have so much judgment in my heart and my head, and I have to clear that out. I wrote that I have to reconcile. I wrote that you can die physically, but it's harder to die to your own agenda. Honestly, being addicted in so many different ways and watching people around me be addicted in so many different ways, it really brings clarity to my head that like God brought those people in my life to be a tragic like sacrifice so I could learn, and I would rather learn from their own mistakes than wait for like that one mistake to happen to me.